Exactly.
I'll give you another example in sports that's live right now. Manfred, the commissioner of the MLB, deciding to cancel the All-Star Game in Atlanta and move it to Denver, Colorado. Now, just because you can cancel and flex like this doesn't mean you should. You're in Georgia, okay, where Georgia has just had a historic run where you have a black female who was almost elected governor of Georgia as a Democrat. Yeah. You have 2 senators that won statewide election in Georgia to win in the Senate. All 3 of those people say, don't move the game from Atlanta. And to compound on that even more, you move it from Atlanta to Colorado, Denver. You move it from Atlanta, a city that's 40% black, to Denver, Colorado, a city that's 10% black. And what's going to happen to all those small businesses in Atlanta that have been struggling through COVID? Those black-owned businesses that have been struggling.
It's $100 million week was just stripped from that community.
Yes.
That's what you just did. And by the way, you moved it to a city that has the same election laws that has the ones that they're trying to pass in Georgia.
Yes.
Stop it.
Let's set back and think. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean it's pragmatic to do that.
Wrendon, the one thing we always talk about is we've talked about privilege before. The privilege that's prevalent in America today, in my opinion, it's not race, it's not being white, it's not being a man, it's money.
Yeah.
It's resources. It's education. By taking away $100 million from that community because you don't like an election law, the only thing you just did was
just hurt those people.
That's all you did. That's literally all you did.
Yeah.
And furthermore, I don't want to get into too many of the details of the election laws that they're trying to pass, but quite frankly, Wrendon, requiring somebody to have an ID to vote, some form of ID, is minimal.
Yeah, to know who the person is who's voting in our elections?
Yes. It's very hard to track when you have a lot of mail-in ballots. The notion of having able-bodied people take time out of their day to pull out their ID and then go somewhere to vote, I think that's a good thing. Yeah. It means that person's vote counted. They took time out of their day to do so, and we know it's theirs.
Yes.
Wrendon, my wife and I have voted in just in the last couple of years 3 or 4 elections. Collectively, do you know how long it took us to actually walk up with 2 children to walk into the booth, vote, and walk out collectively? 8 minutes. 8 minutes. What they're doing in Georgia is increasing their voting stations.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to wait all day, how about you wait till there's a time where the line has gone down and quelled a bit, and then you go, or you look online, or you call and you say, how long is the wait? There are ways to do this, but the notion that this is somehow discriminatory to people and voting is kind of insulting.
Yeah.
Because also what you're saying is that minority groups and people of color don't have ID. But what's even more insulting is that they can't get a government-issued ID. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How big is our family? How big is our family on our mom's side? I mean, my mom has 7 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
We have a huge family. I don't know one of our cousins, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, aunts, uncles, that doesn't have an ID.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
And there's this broader point that I think is really being crafted in the media right now. And it's the idea that no Republicans want there to be a bigger voting population.
That's not.
And let me tell you how I know that is crap. Because I supported you in an election. I think that we should have everybody who wants to vote, who's eligible to vote, should be voting. And I also think that we should have better candidates.
I agree.
And if we have better candidates will win.
That's it.
And maybe I'm a little bit Pollyannish to think that or to say that, but rather than focusing on, well, what does this law say and what does this do? Let's get some people who are electable, who are better candidates, who will look out for the people, who will do right by the people.
And they'll win. Or they'll win eventually.
And look, and I'll give you another example of something that's happening right now in Congress. And this is very similar to what I think we're seeing in Major League Baseball. So if you tell businesses in the United States that they will have to pay higher taxes than they will have to pay if they move their business operations overseas,
they're gone.
They're going to be incentivized to do that, okay? And we're going to take a stand and say, oh no, corporate taxes are unreasonable, yada, yada, yada. And you know who gets hurt when those businesses leave? The people who are going to have the jobs. We saw it in New York City with Amazon headquarters, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
When Mayor Bill de Blasio got up in arms about, well, you know, Amazon XYZ, and they go to another city, and what happens? What comes with them to these other cities?
Jobs.
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 Jobs. Because we're so intent on over-politicizing everything.
Everything.